Welcome to episode 6, the series finale of Georgia Peach Ride, Destination Hometown. I'm your host, Danny Burnham. This is just a recap. You know, we got into Rome, Georgia, all the stuff that it had to offer, went to a whole bunch of places and did a whole bunch of things. And we want to take a little while to acknowledge the people who let us into their shops with cameras and cut our hair and fed us and did all these things. Mr. Adam Colson at the Plaza Barbershop, Kaylee Schroeder at Schroeder's. The entire Schroeder family was off the chain gracious to us, allowing us to come in and shoot over there. The Rome Braves took fantastic care of us, Justin Franklin and his crew over there. And they got us in, and you guys saw the tour of the Braves Stadium and the control room and all the fun stuff that goes on behind the scenes at a baseball game. We also went to Scrambled Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Wrestling, thanks to Jason Hamilton and PJ Broom for letting us come in there with cameras and for everybody who strangled me that night. We also visited Rome's Office of Tourism with Miss Christy Kent and got the lowdown on all the things that we could look for and expect in Rome, Georgia. We've been to a million places, it feels like, and done a million things. And here we are now in November, actually filming this episode. So this one's going to be really fresh. What you guys watched happened 4th of July week, and then it comes out in September, and then we've seen it run, into October. But we're so grateful for each and every one of you that came along on this ride with us. If you jumped on in episode 4, make sure you're going back to check out those previous episodes, especially if you're catching us now and you hadn't seen any of them. But we had a wonderful time. We learned a bunch of stuff about Rome that even, some of us didn't know, like there was a lady from Rome that saved the game of football after her son died playing the game, and the sport was banned here, and the NCAA was going to get rid of it, and she petitioned them to keep it going. So you never know what, even about your hometown, what there is and kind of what's behind the scenes and what went on maybe even years ago to make it what it is now. But Rome has so much of that stuff to offer. There was no shortage. We could have made a series 100 episodes long of all this stuff that's going on here. And that was the idea, to look at it from an outsider's point of view and look at all the different things there is to do here in Things Are, Things Is. Stuff to do here in Rome, Georgia. You can, come do a jiu-jitsu lesson or get your hair cut or eat a good meal or go to the First Friday concert or any number of other things. And to think that this started from a whim, essentially, back in 2020 during COVID. If you saw the first episode 0, actually, you get, some of the background on that. So I won't rehash it again. But it was so much fun to see this thing evolve from just a social media thing where we did a few live videos, took a bunch of pictures and posted them up on the social media. And now it's a YouTube or Rumble series, on these streaming platforms. And, who knows what's going to happen next? Well, I kind of do, and I want to clue you guys in on that. So this is a little more what this episode is about. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're going. So we've talked about where we came from. This is where we are. And at this point, you guys have seen the transition from Georgia Peach Ride, which is what we call it to start with. And then we added the theme for this year, which was Destination Hometown, because it was in our hometown. And moving forward, the idea is to split those two things and keep each of them, to their own separate idea. The Georgia Peach Ride is going to move and be more about, you guys saw me riding the scooter in the series. So that's what that's going to be about. It's going to be an annual fundraiser that we do where you'll be able to sponsor per mile, and I'll ride a gajillion miles over the weekend or, whatever the case may be, whichever amount we set or a time limit or, how far can you get in 24 hours or something along those lines. And we're going to use that to fund projects like Destination Hometown. So we started in my hometown. Maybe next time around we'll come to your hometown or some other hometown, when you think of these little places throughout Georgia throughout the country for that matter. We've already talked about going to places in Kansas and West Virginia and Texas and, all parts in between to look at these little towns that are like Rome or even smaller and highlight reasons for people to visit there. And again, it's not, there's no good reason to visit X place except that it has this really cool thing. The first Peach Ride, we went to Folkston, Georgia. And I didn't know anything about it except that the Bailey brothers were from there who played NFL football. But they've also got a really cool thing called the Folkston Funnel, where all the trains leaving Georgia or Florida pass through there because it's the only dry spot in the swamp. So it was much cooler than I anticipated that it would be. And I think that, towns all across the country have got things like that to offer. So that's kind of what's next when Destination Hometown becomes its own thing. We'll get out and we'll see a lot of those things, and we'll make episodes just like you've seen here with the Georgia Peach Ride, Destination Hometown. But as far as those two things going together, this is kind of the end of that. But with that said, it's really the beginning of two whole different things. So I'm excited to see where those things are going to go. And we're super excited to have you guys come along with us. We asked not for much, but that you like, share, and subscribe our videos and our channels. Make sure that the word's getting out about these places. If you think of a place, if you know a place, if you're from a place that you feel like would fit into what it is we're trying to do here, feel free to send those in and let us know. Shoot us a message on any of the platforms that you find us on, and we'll look at those places and consider and figure out when or how we can get there, and we'll make more episodes about your hometown. That's kind of the idea going forward. We've got lots of cool stuff in store. Beyond this, we're working on a documentary film about a guy doing all different sorts of grappling tournaments. We're getting to other things about veterans and their mental health and stuff like that. We've got a million ideas in the pipeline, so we're going to hash all these out. But these two events that we're talking about, specifically in this episode, the Georgia Peach Ride and the Destination Hometown, they'll be kind of at the forefront along with Burnham Podcast as far as the Burnham Project umbrella as a whole. So stay tuned, guys. Keep your finger on the pulse here, and hopefully we'll produce some content that'll spark your interest and that'll make you want to follow us along on this ride wherever it takes us. But having said that, we're going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for coming along this ride with us. We wouldn't do all this if it weren't for you guys, and we wouldn't be able to, for that matter. So we're grateful for each and every one of you. Follow us and see what happens next time. Thank you, guys. God bless. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Georgia Peach Ride, Destination Hometown. Be sure to follow us on the rest of the adventure.